After a very disappointing offseason that the New York Rangers just had, I am definitely expecting them to go out there this offseason and look to make some massive changes with this roster, as it doesn't seem like they're looking to go into kind of a full-on retool or a big kind of rebuild. They seemingly want to go out there and kind of get right back into the mix of things and try and compete for that cup and go on at least some kind of a playoff run next season. Now, is it going to be possible to kind of completely turn this roster around and build it into an actual cup-winning roster in one offseason? Probably not, but is there a chance this team can, turn things around and make some good moves this offseason, make some necessary upgrades, and get this team back on track to potentially being at least a, more than quality kind of playoff team there? I definitely would think that's definitely possible. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at some possible players that could potentially get dealt away from this Rangers team, as I definitely expect them to look to trade some of the kind of main core guys of this roster over the past, 2, 3, 4 years now. Some of those guys definitely might get dealt away as this team looks to make some serious upgrades in certain areas. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at an article here from Anthony Russo of the Hockey Writers, and he lists some players that the New York Rangers are going to have to make some kind of decisions on there and kind of decide on what the plan is going forward with them, whether or not to keep them or obviously trade them away. So the first of 6 players we're going to talk about in today's video is Chris Kreider. I'm not going to try and talk too much about him here because I have kind of talked about trading him away quite a bit in certain videos and kind of reasons why or why not. But basically, I think it's a pretty interesting situation here with Kreider because he is a guy who has been on the Rangers for his entire NHL career. He is the longest tenured Ranger, of course. He has kind of been a great player for many, many seasons now since pretty much getting into the NHL with the Rangers. He's obviously up there in a lot of the record books for, goal scoring, points in the playoffs, power play goals, all that kind of stuff there. Lots of stats. He is up there in the record books. So, he is one of those guys who has been around this team for so long now. He's been a solid kind of veteran player for many, many years, has been an integral part of this team and one of the main kind of core guys, especially on the forward side of things. But at this point, with the injuries starting to maybe come around a little more there with the back problems and that big cap hit and having a pretty down season there and being one of many, though, obviously that did have a down season, but still, he had a pretty big down season there. And I just think at this point there, if you can move on from him and actually maybe get something back there, you don't have to retain like $2 million or 1.5 or even $1 million on him, then I definitely think it makes a lot of sense there. Now, if you have to give up like something to get rid of him, then that's where I'm probably not thinking it's the best idea. But at the end of the day, there, it really just kind of depends what the kind of options are out there available to possibly trade him away and kind of what value you could possibly get back. But in my opinion there, Kreider is still potentially going to be a solid player for next season there, especially if he does, get a little healthier, but there still is that risk going forward, of course, with the health. He's getting older. He's not getting any younger there. So, can he stay healthy long term? That is definitely going to be a big question mark, which, of course, will also affect his trade market as well. At the end of the day, I definitely, like I said, think trading him away is probably what's best for this team, as long as you don't have to retain a bunch of salary or have to give up, some picks and prospects to get rid of him. The next player we have here is Mika Zibanejad, and I'm going to be honest, I know lots of fans continue to talk about kind of wanting to see him dealt away, and I get that fully. I mean, his contract and kind of his play right now is definitely not matching up, right? He's definitely getting overpaid by a bit, but we did see, a much better Zibanejad once he switched to the wing, and you also just have to consider, though, he does have a full no movement clause, meaning he can block out any trade to any single team in the entire NHL, so it really seems like to me there is a pretty much like 99% chance of him not leaving this team. I think he's definitely going to be on this roster next season, as much as it may benefit this team from, getting rid of that contract there and opening up that cap space. To me, it's just not going to happen. Next up here, we've got Braden Schneider, and personally, I am definitely on the side of keeping him. He brings some good toughness and physicality and some size in the back end there. He's, for the most part, there, a pretty good, reliable, more defensive defenseman there. His puck moving ability isn't awful, but not great. But the main thing about his game there, he's going to bring some size, toughness, the hitting ability. Can scrap after whistles, battle in the corners, is a strong, tough player, obviously, but is also a pretty solid, reliable defensive guy as well, which we definitely know this team has kind of lacked some of them at moments in the past few years. So I think keeping a guy like Schneider, who, really brings a lot of what this team kind of needs more of on the back end, at least, I definitely think it makes a lot of sense there. And For me personally, the only way I'm trading away Braden Schneider is in a package for a real star or superstar caliber player. I definitely think there's a lot more to his game than kind of what we've seen so far. I don't think he's ever going to be a number one or number two defenseman, but being a great second pairing kind of guy for years to come with that physicality and kind of toughness and size and good defensive play, I definitely think is a very realistic possibility. Next up here, we've got Keandre Miller, and many of you have already kind of heard my opinion kind of on this situation here with Keandre, but I'm on the side of looking to trade him away. Now, I'm not looking to just get rid of him for nothing like some fans want to do, and I understand why fans really want to see him go because he is that liability defensively at moments, but I still think there is some more to his game potentially, and if he can kind of become that more consistent guy, then he could be a great defenseman for a very long time, especially with that size and that speed and the talent that he does have. So to me, I'm willing to see him traded away. I'm more than fine if it does happen there. It'll also save this team a good amount of cap space because he probably will get some kind of a contract at least around that $6 million, 5.5 plus kind of mark. There's something around there at least, I would imagine. So to me, you're saving some good cap space there. You'd be able to probably get back something decent in value, but I really don't exactly have any clue with the guy like Keandre. It's really tough to kind of gauge what value he would truly have on the market. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens there. But like I said, I'm willing to trade him away, but it has to be for some actual good value coming back in return. Now we've got Carson Staal, who obviously had a pretty disappointing run with the Rangers once he was traded from the Vancouver Canucks around the trade deadline. So he's a guy who, having one more year left with a $3.25 million cap hit, not seemingly being a kind of long-term piece for this team, definitely could get traded away this offseason, and I think it makes sense to deal him away if you are looking to make some real big changes, some real big kind of additions to this team, and you want some more cap space. Opening up another 3.25 there with trading away guy Carson could make a lot of sense there and could be really good for this team and allow them to go out there and, add in that great, top four caliber defenseman or that great third line center, right? So it definitely could be what's best for this team there. I'm on board for it, but do you have to give up something to get off that contract now? It seems kind of possible. So a little unfortunate there that this team does give up a third round pick. I believe it was at the deadline there. And then obviously now we're in this spot where, this team's having to give up potentially a pick or a prospect or two, something like that to get off this contract. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with him. But I do think trading him away definitely would make a lot of sense for this team, especially if they want to go out there and, like I said, make some real big splash moves. Next up here, we've got Brendan Othmann, who I think had a bit of a disappointing season. Now, I don't think he was absolutely terrible, but the offensive production just wasn't quite there. I think he had some flashes, obviously, of showing that talent there, but I think we definitely need to see him kind of do a little more offensive there. Having 2 points in 22 games played this season isn't ideal, especially when he was, playing alongside some top guys, of course, like Panarin and Trocheck, but he did only average 9 minutes and 58 seconds per night, so less than 10 minutes a night there, not a lot of ice time, so you can't expect him to have a crazy amount of offensive production, but I would like to see a little more there, but he did bring a lot of physicality, still had 43 hits there, 7 block shots, so we know it can be that kind of energy ball out there, guy flying around, hitting everything that moves out there, being a really physical, tough player. I love that about his game, so I think there's definitely a place on this team for him, and this team needs more guys like Othmann and Cooley there who can, lay the body, but can also, help contribute offensively as well and be at least a decent kind of defensive winger. So I think a guy like Othmann there can hopefully learn a thing or two from a guy like Will Cooley, especially after he took that massive step up this past season there. If a guy like Othmann can kind of have a big step at some point as well in his career and his development, that would be such a big help for this team. So I don't think trading him away is necessary. I think, obviously I would rather hold on to a guy like Othmann, of course, in a package deal for a star player. It makes a lot of sense there, if you want to deal away one of, Berard, Othmann, or Perreault, depending on the level of kind of player you're going after. Trading one of those guys away definitely makes some sense there. So to me, if it is for a superstar caliber guy and you're trading him away, I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I would rather see Othmann on this team because I think he brings a lot of what this team definitely needs more going forward, which is some good toughness, physicality, some energy out there. So I would definitely rather see Othmann stay on this team long term. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed, definitely don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content, as I do post every single day. And of course, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on today's video and on the Rangers in general. Do you agree with my takes there? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll catch you in the next one, and let's Go Rangers.